think this will be an intimate session this morning. It was standing room only yesterday. So first of all, congratulations for finding the Omnichannel Theatre. I know it's a little bit hidden. So when I get my nod here, we'll kick off. Okay, well, good morning, and thank you for joining. I'm Richard from Genesys. I'm the digital lead for Genesys in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and I'll explain more about who Genesys is maybe later. What I want to talk about is customer engagement in a digital world. And I kind of have to say customer engagement because everybody talks about customer engagement or customer experience and all the rest of it. But I think really as a subtext or subtitle, what I really want to talk about is where you lose the most leads and the quite often the low-hanging fruit that you have of keeping or losing customers is actually already in your grasp. And I want to talk about how we're letting those go and how we can prevent that. But maybe to start with, a few questions for you to try and put some of this in context. Does anybody know when the first smartphone was released? First smartphone? Any guesses? 2005? Any advances? 2003? Well, the first smartphone, or the first product to be marketed as a smartphone, was actually an Ericsson product in the year 2000. Now, the iPhone came along in 2007, and suddenly everything changed. Now, what about Facebook? When did Facebook open to the public? 2006? That's spot on. So 2006 was the year that Facebook opened for public use, and the same year as Twitter. So that's 10 years, right? Just 10 years now, and just think about how our world as consumers has changed in terms of how we communicate with everybody around us. Now, what about how we communicate with the world around us? Which of you have any of you got wearable technology on you right now? Yeah? Yeah? So I'm actually on my second generation of smartwatch. It's a Samsung Galaxy. People keep asking me, has it gone on fire yet? I don't really know what they mean. But you go into your homes and think about how many connected devices that you have. You have TVs, PlayStations, game consoles, obviously computers, tablets, washing machines. Has anybody got a connected washing machine? My washing machine is a connected washing machine. I didn't buy it for that purpose. It was the right product or the right price, but it's a connected device as well, and I can control that from the comfort of my smartphone while standing here in the NEC in Birmingham. So, we're all now connected consumers, and this is the way we communicate with each other. It's the way that we communicate with the world around us. And what that's doing then is setting expectations for consumers for how they want to be able to engage with brands. And, whether you're 16 or 60, you're a digital consumer now. And, maybe if you meet Kate, maybe Kate is your consumer, is your customer. Our customers are digital customers are no longer nerds. It's no longer about early adopters or first movers. Your customer is not tech savvy, but she probably uses biometrics to authenticate, maybe fingerprint on her computer or on her phone. She might use video to communicate with her doctor. She probably uses WhatsApp or Messenger to chat with friends and family and even with brands and so on. So this is our consumer, and the challenge then that we have to create customer engagement for our customers today is to meet those expectations of being able to move seamlessly and easily between from communication to communication, and to trying to put some context and some meat behind that. 3/4 of your customers are on your website while they are engaging with somebody in your business. So whether they're on the phone to somebody in your contact center, or they're perhaps chatting to somebody, or in a social media conversation with somebody in your business, 3/4 of them are on your website at the same time. Of course, the question is, do you see that? Does the employee who is engaging with that customer see that and is able to influence that experience in real time? The rise in self-service over the last couple of years continues to grow, and I'm going to come back to that a little bit later. But this stat, 35% of customers use 4 or more channels. That's not just using 4 or more channels overall. It's about using 4 or more channels in the pursuit of one action or one question or getting one problem resolved. Because as digital consumers, we move around very quickly, we're fickle. If we can't get an answer really, really quickly, we'll move. And that's what's happening. They're going from channel to channel and they're using 4 or more to get an answer. And this final statistic, I think, is really one that I want to emphasize. We kind of think that in the digital age, the role of the voice of the phone call is going away. Well, actually, that's not bearing out in reality. 51% of customers still prefer a phone call or voice to solve complex issues. Because as products and services are becoming more complex, yes, automation and so on helps us automate a lot of the more simple queries, but as these things are getting more complex, customers prefer to be able to speak to somebody. And sometimes that's a phone call, sometimes it might be a video call through your website, but they still prefer that human interaction. And this is really one of the key points that I'd like to leave with you today, is around the importance of the human touch. Often I'll say, if you're a shopkeeper in a store in the high street and a customer comes in and puts stuff in a shopping basket and goes to the counter and puts the shopping basket in front of you and then walks out, you would never let them do that. You would reach out the hand and say, how can I help? And that human touch is just as important in the digital domain. And so really what we're talking about then is the requirement for, and I almost dislike using this word omnichannel, because everybody has a different definition of what omnichannel is really all about. For me, omnichannel is channel-less, because actually the channel should not matter anymore. Whether your customer communicates with you via social media, via mobile website, via an app, via phone call in the contact center, via store, the channel is immaterial. That experience needs to be managed with an omnichannel foundation at the core that manages that overall experience. And for us here in Genesys, there are 3 parts to that omnichannel foundation. And first is customer engagement. Customer engagement, that's just simply about being able to be there and design those exceptional journeys for your customers, no matter where they are, but at the moment that they need you. That moment of opportunity or the moment of need. But omnichannel also requires employee engagement, and I'm going to come back to this point as well. Being able to empower your employees to be the CEO of your customers' journeys and empowering your employees in the right way. And finally, an omnichannel foundation requires an optimized business, both in terms of being able to manage the workload that goes through your business. A lead is captured on the website and then needs to be fulfilled through the business so you can keep your promises, but also then the insights and the analytics that are required to optimize customer journeys. And this is right across marketing, sales, and service, where the lines between those different domains in our business now are changing, and your customer is on a journey that right from research and purchase to onboarding to usage to problem resolution to renewal. And omnichannel customer experience is about managing that entire life cycle for your customers. And what I want to do then is I want to pick a few examples of how you can achieve that. I want to make this actionable for you. And the first area really is all about the employee. And this is what we've learned when we've been talking about this, is that creating the ability for your employees to be omnichannel journey managers is really key. And what you're seeing here is what we call the omnichannel desktop. And this is the tool that your employees have for engaging with customers. No matter what channel your customer uses to communicate, it's all plugged into the one omnichannel desktop. So as new channels come along, they get added in to the infrastructure that's already there. And this, by the way, addresses a key challenge that I call digital proliferation, because within the digital age and innovation, and we're all under pressure to move quickly and to innovate, creating all these new innovative projects in our business creates new teams over here. A new team comes over here to do IoT, a team comes over here to do AI, a team comes over here to do something else. Those teams are all siloed, and creating more silos in our business. Our customer is touching them all, but they're not connected. So quite often that doesn't return the benefits that digital really promises. So a key step then is enabling your employees to be omnichannel journey managers, to handle all of the interactions from all of your customers, no matter where they come from, and to be able to have one single place for your employees to be able to interact with CRM systems or whatever downstream systems are required to fulfill customer requests. I want to go on a little bit of a journey across marketing, sales and service, and I want to talk about, as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the big drains on hot leads typically happens when a customer responds, in this case to Google Analytics and a Google AdWords campaign. They respond to an AdWord campaign, they click on the AdWord, and they're taken to your website or your mobile microsite. But often they have a question. I mentioned this already. They have a question, and they then call somebody in your business to get that question answered. Now, what tends to happen, as you can see here, that this customer has searched for the keyword, the AdWord has popped up, and they've clicked on the AdWord, and Google Analytics then in real time is showing us that customer's behavior as they're going through the activity on the mobile microsite and so on. But what you're going to see then is this customer wants to speak to somebody. And for complex products, like I said earlier, and for expensive products, quite often they're going to want to speak to somebody to have a question answered before they make a buying decision. But when they do that, typically what happens, marketing loses sight. And Google Analytics in this case would typically lose sight of that customer's activity, that customer's journey. No longer. We've closed the loop now between marketing and service. So as this customer goes into a phone call with the business, talking first of all to those dreaded IVRs and then on to an agent in their contact center, Google is able to track that customer's activity. Now this could be Google Analytics, it could be any marketing platform that you use, but we're getting that real-time feedback back into the marketing engine. So we can do a couple of things. First of all, if the agent, the employee is successful in selling that product, we can attribute that, and we can attribute the success results back to the campaign that brought the lead in the first place. But if they're not successful in selling at that point, we can improve our retargeting, because now we know what they were interested in. Now we know what they did with an employee in this case in the contact center, and we can improve our retargeting. And we can also improve now our remarketing, because with closing this loop, we know, and I said this at the beginning, one of the biggest sources of lost leads in your business is the fact that your customers, there's a huge wealth of data about your customers that exists within your service department. Now we can actually make that data available in real time to our marketing domain so that we can remarket, we can retarget, and so on. I want to talk briefly about IoT, and I'm going to maybe leave this as a little bit of a teaser for you. We actually commissioned a paper with Frost and Sullivan, and we did a webinar on this about a month ago, and that's available on demand. And I would certainly, and when I did this yesterday, this presentation yesterday, a few people came up to me and asked for a link for that webinar, so I certainly would encourage you to do the same thing. We commissioned a study on the impact of IoT on customer experience and how to get it right. And I really only want to refer to two key findings from that study. First of all, the business benefits that have been observed by businesses. This is a European study. We have a study for the rest of the world as well, but this is a European study. The data is broken down by region within Europe as well. But you can see the benefits then that they realized by bringing IoT into their business. But what is also clear is what's shown on the left, is that to get IoT right, to get the customer experience right for IoT, you have to be putting it in the context of that end-to-end customer journey. Recognizing that, as I said before, the customer goes through a research, purchase, onboarding, usage, problem resolution, renewal journey with that device, and putting the IoT device and the activity around that in the context of that end-to-end journey is what's key to get the experience around IoT right. And I suppose to illustrate that fact, I want to refer to what AO.com have done right here in the UK. I'm talking about end-to-end customer journeys. this journey that your customer's on. And I love this phrase that they use, is it's all about being exceptional in the moment that matters, or the moments that matter. So where that customer is on their journey with you at that moment of opportunity or that moment of need, and recognizing that allows you to be exceptional in that moment and resolve their query, sell a product, or keep a customer. And one of the simple use cases that these guys do is quite simply they recognize that 85% of phone calls into their business are coming from customers who are due a delivery on that day. So before they ask them any questions, they simply remind them the details of their delivery schedule. 50% of their calls go at that point because the customers are served. And that's just simply by thinking about being exceptional in the moments that matter, recognizing where your customers are on their journey, and delivering an experience that is relevant to them at that moment. And actually that is a nice segue into this note on analytics and personalization. Anybody recognize the image there from the TV? This is a TV show. Some people do. This TV show is called Hole in the Wall. And what happens is this wall appears with a hole in it. The contestant has to make the shape of that hole, and as the wall moves towards them, if they're successful in making the right shape, they fit through the hole and they win. If they're unsuccessful, the wall knocks them off and they fall into a pool of water, and it's very funny. What analytics will, the danger with analytics sometimes is that analytics will tell us what the shape of the hole should be. Because based on previous customers and even history of customers, this customer or customers like that, it will tell us what shape the hole, or what shape the customer needs to fit into. But personalization is about flipping that model and being relevant to that customer and being personalized to where they are in their journey. And analytics should be about their customer's journey, where they are in that journey, and shaping the whole to them, not what hundreds and thousands of other customers say that they should be like. So it's just getting that perspective right on analytics and personalization. One of the use cases, and we're moving a little bit more into the sales side here, and I sometimes find it difficult to talk about this topic in the sense that I can't believe that it's still a topic. Most websites by now have web chat on their sites, but either typically what happens is it's at the side of the page and you click it and then you'll get a swirly wheel that says we'll have somebody with you in a few minutes, or it keeps popping up, sometimes in smart places, but quite often it's just persistent. But again, there's a swirly wheel and says we'll have somebody ready for you in a minute. When I said earlier about the moment that matters and recognizing that moment of opportunity and the value of the human touch, the right way to use web chat is to make sure that there is an employee with the right skills, the right knowledge and experience at that moment in time, at the moment, being exceptional in the moment that matters to engage with this customer. And this is what Marks and Spencer did. They recognized that at the end in the purchase journey, at the end of the funnel, when the customer is about to hit buy now, they've put all their details in, but in the gift card box, they put in a gift card number and they make a mistake. An error message gets thrown up and the customer abandons. What Marks and Spencer did was, if they had an employee with the right skills for that product available right there and then, at that event they popped up a chat invite. So it was rules-based, it was presence-based, it was based on the employee being ready right there and then. But in doing that, it returned £1.5 million worth of additional web sales and the return on investment in that project in less than 4 months, which is a significant return. So it's about being exceptional in the moments that matter and recognizing the value of the human touch in that moment. So as a last couple of words here, and because I want to come on to, I suppose my last real topic is on automation and chatbots and artificial intelligence. And the key thing that I really want to get across here is the importance of understanding what your customer really needs. Ultimately, your customer needs a question answered. They need help. I've added some, on top of the website for the event here today. I've added what might, some widgets for offering personalized assistance to a customer who has a question. And that assistance might well be make a phone call. It might well be send us an email, or it could be chat with us or receive a call back, or it could be automation. But the key here is that we're personalizing this and making this relevant to where we know, to what we know about this customer, where they are in their journey, and we're using automation in the right way. A few years ago, maybe going back 15, 20 years, when voice self-service was all the rage, we put so much focus into automating phone calls. And what happened with customers? Well, it was a real turn-off for customers. And we are at risk of doing the same thing with chatbots and virtual assistants if we don't recognize that we need to get the blend right between self and assisted service. So what you're seeing here on the left-hand side is what we call a knowledge bot. So you probably already have a knowledge center or an FAQ system on your website. So quite often one of the things that can be really helpful for your customers is, as they request to speak to somebody or to chat with somebody in this case, ask them some questions from that perhaps can propose some answers from the knowledge base. And hopefully what you'll see here is then is, as the customer was not fully self-served, we made it very, very easy to get through to an employee, and you can see the employee using the omni-channel desktop that I showed you earlier sees everything that customer asked in the automated flow up until that point. It also allows the employee to refine the knowledge bot as well. And on the right-hand side, we can see a similar bot. This time it's in Facebook Messenger, and this is a bit more of a directed dialogue, with more integration. This time we're asking the customer some very, very direct questions. What is your identity? So we can look you up. We can then have some personalization in there as we get the number right, and we can offer some very specific questions to drive the customer through a very directed dialogue. And again, the key thing is making it very easy for that customer then to move straight through to a dialogue with an agent, with an employee, using the omni-channel desktop to continue the dialogue that was started by the bot. So where to start? So I talked about omni-channel customer engagement and the power of the human touch and being exceptional in the moments that matter. But of course, the big question is, where do I start? How do I make this happen in my business? With Genesys, we can offer an afternoon's workshop with you to what we call a digital CX review, where we can bring best practice from other businesses within your industry, and because we're a global company, we can bring in best practice from companies and leading organizations around the world, brands like Marks and Spencer and so on, Procter and Gamble and so on. These are brands today that are using Genesys for omni-channel customer experience. But if I can leave you with maybe a couple of suggestions that we find that most people tend to get benefit from very, very quickly is, number one, is the omni-channel desktop, is providing your employees with the omni-channel desktop. But then we also see the proactive chat for sales and being exceptional in the moment that matters, bringing that human touch at that moment of opportunity on your web domain. So as I finish, I'd like to thank you for your time, and as I finish here, I'm going to show you a video from Atom Bank right here in the UK, an innovative startup that has put a lot of these principles together and is using it to successfully deliver great customer experience to their customers, and I want to thank you for your time.
The digital revolution is here, and customers' digital demands are skyrocketing. They want a seamless omni-channel approach that's intuitive but authentic.
People that are human, helpful, friendly, and treat me like a valued customer.
So when someone is scripted or doesn't sound like they care, I find that really irritating.
I hate it when you've got to click through number after number to get through to the right person.
So is it possible to deliver more telepathic customer service? We put an innovative new bank to the test. Atom Bank is a digital banking upstart, redefining what banking should be by providing simple, inexpensive, app-only banking for smartphone users. Mark Mullen, Atom's CEO, told me that the bank's superpower is its people, powered by intelligent technology. What makes Atom different?
Oh gosh, it's the people, and of course the place in which we're based up here in the north of England. So there's a real sort of character and spirit about the sort of local community and the culture.
Atom is powered by technology from Genesys. They use its customer experience platform, which allows customers to literally make the bank their own.
We need our customers to feel that it's their bank, it's not ours. And therefore, you know, simple things like the fact that you can color it the way you want to, the fact that your brand is unique and individual to you, the fact that you use your face or your voice to log on. And that needs to carry through the journey. It's not just on the app, but then when you speak to one of our agents, you don't want to be telling them who you are again, because that information is all available digitally. So making it intimate is actually quite a challenge, but it's one that we embrace.
Working with Atom Bank, providing the technology to make this possible, is Genesys. Nick Wingrove is their solutions man.
Of course, we work with companies like Atom, who we start with at the beginning of their journey, and we learn together and we grow together, and we have common aims. Also, we work with the established, more traditional sort of companies who are maybe multinational, have large infrastructures and processes in place, and we can then affect a positive change on those as well by showing them what real, true customer experience means.
And providing exactly that here is Sue, an experienced customer call centre veteran.
If you came through on chat with Genesys, it's fantastic. The system provides us with so much information about that customer, so I have their email address, their name, the device that they're using. So although we can resolve the query very quickly through chat, what we can also do is email them with a pictorial walkthrough. That's the beauty of Genesys. If you've already had an interaction with the customer, Genesys is sophisticated enough to be able to remember, so it will try to direct the customer back through to the person they originally spoke to. We can inject some real personality into our interactions with our customers. This system makes it so easy for us to do that.
So simplicity is key for customers and for organisations that want to thrive digital.
Proliferation then becomes a bit of a nightmare for businesses and consumers alike. And what we try and help customers understand is is the importance of bringing everything together and controlling it centrally, orchestrating it essentially, so that as new channels come along, you don't create something new, you plug them into what's already there.
So in the digital maze, it's collaboration between intelligent technology and a healthy dose of humanity that creates the ideal customer care.
You're free to go. Thank you for your time. Hello. Hi.